Hey guys, welcome to the show. It is Cooper. This episode of the podcast being brought to you by TechNet. Now, TechNet is a nationwide network of automotive repair shops. So if you get work done at a TechNet shop in Carbondale, PA, you've got support across the country, even into Canada, eh? They think us Wisconsinites sound like Canadians, but we really don't. So if you run into trouble with your vehicle, just call up the TechNet hotline or hit up their website, and you get directed to a TechNet member shop near you. And there's over 9,600 of them. It's called the TechNet Nation. TechNet shops provide customers with dependable service backed by a nationwide warranty for at least 24 months or 24,000 miles, a roadside hazard tire protection plan, a roadside assistance plan, and much more. They call it Competence Delivered. For more information and to find a TechNet member shop in your area, hit up members.technetprofessional.com or find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's TechNet.
Welcome to Cooperville.
Do you know what's fun to do in Cooperville? Pack up your shit and get the fuck out!
Listen. www.welcometocooperville.com. Who the fuck says www anymore? I can't even say it. www. Stop that. The Welcome to Cooperville podcast. On demand anywhere quality podcasts are available. And some places where cheap podcasts are available.
And the local gas station has some.
Subscribe, get updates, feel better about your life. Welcome to Cooperville.com. Check one, check.
Welcome to Cooperville! Make sure you use a coaster. The wife gets upset when we leave rings on the tables.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gents? It's Cooper. Welcome to the podcast, episode number 4 of the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Available, of course, on all platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. You can even ask your, I shouldn't say it out loud, but your Alexa device to play the podcast, so we're everywhere. Really excited today to talk to my friend Dan Marcon of Marc-On Shooting and so many other ventures. I know now officially head of security at both Country and Rock Fest. Yeah. You kind of have it all.
Yep, that's what they've been told.
A Birchwood kid.
I am, yep, small town up north, north of Rice Lake.
And a bar kid as well.
I was, yep. It's kind of weird when you say that outside of Wisconsin.
What does a bar kid mean? I think there's two different types of bar kids. There's bar kids whose parents, like yours, had a bar for what, 40 years?
40 plus years, yeah. Still own it, still for sale. So.
And there's kids like me who are bar kids that just had a dad who was an alcoholic.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? Oh, let's see. We're going to stop here, here, and here on the way home. And it's completely normal up here in Wisconsin. We have no fear.
That was called a trap line.
That's the official title.
Yep. And then you learned how to drive when you're in between 10 and 12.
Just scoot the seat up a little bit.
Yep.
You can reach the pedals. And my dad always had really big trucks, which made it really difficult because I was blessed with my family genetics, which is really long legs, but a shorter torso when you're smaller than you finally grow into your body at about 30. So I was always like, well, my legs can reach the pedals, but I just can't quite see over the steering wheel, Dad. It's like, it's okay. Don't touch the cup holder. You'll be fine. And then spent some time in the Navy, first and foremost. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It's one of those things that really tried hard to instill this in my own child, is if you see somebody in uniform, and we've been at Quick Trip, we've been out at a restaurant, and I say, if you see somebody who's in uniform, or if you see somebody who's wearing a veteran's hat, you go up and you thank them. And so I always have such the highest appreciation for guys who served. I had many family members who served, and it's always fun for me because I have a really close cousin who was in the Navy, and I have a really close cousin who was in the Marine Corps. And it's always fun to see Navy guys and Marine Corps guys in the same room together. And as a civilian, you just sit back and you just listen to them, knowing they're all fighting for the same team, but they have outspoken opinions on the other branch.
You should hang out with us sometime at the shop. We got Navy, Army, Marines, one Air Force guy every now and then. So it's
I saw the hand go, but the Air Force guys, those smart guys over there in the Air Force. But I want to talk to you about a lot of things. Marc-On Shooting is your company right now, a shooting range which you opened up a couple years back. So there's a lot of things I want to go through with that. But I think that we kind of talked about this before the podcast started, is we're living in a very weird time. I think from both sides of the spectrum, because I think in one avenue, we're living in the most amazing time that there ever has been in the history of humanity. From a technological standpoint, you have access to the answer to any question you could possibly ask ever.
That's crazy.
And remembering back to being in school and teachers always saying, well, you're never going to have an Encyclopedia Britannica with you. You're never going to have a calculator with you. Well, no, I'm going to have a calculator, an encyclopedia, and Google, which will have answers to anything I have a question for.
That's true.
So I think, technology has made us obviously a very connected world. It has made us a very, most cases, a very knowledgeable world. If you want to know how to fix something on your vehicle and you don't know how to do it, you go to YouTube.
Exactly.
It's that simple. But I think with the way that technology has moved, we've moved into a really weird area as human beings. It's a strange state of mind, because I think with that technology, with a lot of people living and breathing and not paying attention to where they're walking, living on their devices, their mobile devices, some people can get kind of lost down the rabbit hole a little bit, which I think is, as a parent, as a husband, as an American who, cares for my neighbors.
Right.
I care about this guy. I care about that guy. The guy back there, it's fine. He said his garbage sitting outside on his deck since like December. So I'm a little worried about him. I should probably go check on him. The concern in I think from my perspective, because I don't own a gun. I didn't grow up in my dad didn't hunt. I wasn't really exposed to that as a kid. So it's something that never really was in my peripheral. I never had an opinion against guns. I wasn't like, no, you shouldn't be able to conceal and carry. Right. You shouldn't be able to do this. But for me, growing up most of the time up here in the Chippewa Valley area, I did spend some time in Madison before in my early 20s. But coming back up here, it's a safe place. You feel safe most of the time. The news stories, you can tell when it's a slow news day when they're like, hey, let's go talk to the plow truck guy again and see, hey, I know we asked you on Tuesday, but where are you going to put the snow now? But there is an underlying, I think it's fear. I think there's a fear of not wanting to be caught in a situation where somebody else has the upper hand. A lot of that can be, if you watch enough of the news, local or national news, that you're probably never going to be in a situation where you would need to have a gun on you. But I think you see other situations and say, hey, you know what? If that person would have had a gun on them, maybe the situation would have been a little bit differently. And I know you have a vast knowledge of the laws, and you have a vast knowledge of weaponry. But I want to talk about conceal and carry just to start off with. Your thoughts on it. I know that there's some things going on in Wisconsin right now, but just first and foremost, your opinion about the conceal and carry laws.
Conceal carry is a great thing, I think. I know guys that have carried for years and never had a license, and still to this day are like, I'm not ever going to get a license because basically screw them. Myself, I've been concealed carrying since roughly probably 1996, legally, illegally, whatever. In my prior professions and just in the livelihood that we've lived. Now that it got licensed and you can get a license for it, you pay your $40, all that stuff. However, the way Wisconsin did it with Scott Walker, pros or cons again on that, I feel as the person seeing people come in with firearms that you should have some type of training.
Right, absolutely.
Now, Minnesota has it where you got to take an 8-hour course, 6 to 8 hour course, and you have to prove that you can actually shoot a firearm. It doesn't have to be the one you're going to carry. It has to be a firearm. So you can shoot a 22 and then carry a 9mm, not a big deal. Some states have it where you got to shoot the gun that you're going to carry, from serial numbers to make, model, the whole works. That gun has to be registered to you. If you and I are just buddies and we're sitting around watching TV on a Sunday, and I'm not an FFL dealer like I am now, and I say, hey, Coop, you want to check out my 9mm? I can sell that to you for a couple $100, and you can carry that now in the state of Wisconsin, which is fine. I'm all for all private gun ownership, no big deal. However, when you see somebody come in and they've been carrying a firearm for 2 or 3 or 4 years because they sent in their hunter safety that they got when they were 12, and now they're 40, and they don't know if they can carry here or there, but they watched it on YouTube or talked to their buddy at the bar.
Right.
And you see a guy at the bar drinking a beer, which is illegal with a firearm on. And they start asking you questions because they didn't want to spend the $75 to go to class. It kind of makes you a little awkward. I mean, me being in the business I am and in training, that's probably our number one thing. That's how we got into Marc-On Shooting. We didn't just start selling guns 10 years ago. We started doing training. The gun thing just came in the backside of it. So we're definitely not know-it-alls on all firearms, but we know what we know and how we use them. So I think there should be a shooting portion of it. You know, I mean, I could drive when I was 12. I could back a hay wagon up. I could back up a boat trailer. I could drive across the counties, all that stuff. But I still had to take a license when I was 16.
Right.
Just to prove to somebody that I did. Now, I got good friends of mine that are like, you know, oh, screw that. We didn't have to take it back in 1776. All right, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Again, that's a big rabbit hole.
Right.
And I think a lot of, depending on what side, and it's always, you know, the side that is the loudest seems to garner a lot of the attention. And that, you know, that may or may not be the official stance of the vast majority of even that side of whatever political aisle or however you feel about guns. It's always the loudest people that seem to garner the most attention, and therefore, you know, people tend to, you know, follow themselves down that rabbit hole. Well, you know, it was back in 1776 when they, you know, wrote the Constitution, and they weren't thinking AR-15s back then. They're like, well, sharpen your bayonet on the end just in case you're in close combat.
But, you know, now for today's world, now Scott Walker's gone, and that other guy's in.
Tony Evers.
Tony Evers, thank you. He's going to be having to come up with some money. We already see this, you know, not obviously to get into politics, but for $40 for a concealed carry license and a renewal is $25. Is he going to up that? He can. You know, he's not going to say we're not going to have no concealed carry because the state would go crazy.
Right.
We have over 500,000 people that actually have licenses that conceal carry, and plus everybody else are gun people. So if he says, you know, a license is going to cost $200 and a renewal is going to cost $100 and you're going to have to do training and this and that, he can do that without going through all the house and, you know, all that stuff. Michigan costs $500. Minnesota costs, you know, up to $100. Other states, California costs a couple $1,000s. It's pretty crazy across the country. When you start looking at multiple states and different states' laws, the governors get money from that way. I mean, it's just a way. It's like a taxation, basically.
Yeah, and I think there is something to be said about where that money ends up. If you've driven in Wisconsin anytime lately on pretty much any road, that's why you never see a lowrider in Wisconsin, because you bottom out and you lose a couple $1,000s in suspension. But so about the raising the fees and stuff like that, would you feel like there's going to be a huge pushback from the concealed carry, the people that already have their licenses, to see that increase? Because it doesn't feel to me like it is we're going to raise the price so that there's less of them. It feels like we need to raise the price because there's some budgetary things that we need to take care of.
Right. And that's what they're going to tax it. They're going to tax on different things. You know, We're already talking gas tax because everybody drives. So, but the concealed carry license, and we know how he stands on firearms to begin with. It's just the party. That's one way of not getting people not to carry. It's just getting more money in their pockets for the use of whatever they may want to use it for. They don't just make money and then it's there. I mean, they got to come from it from somewhere. So, in concealed carry license, I foresee it to be at least $100. That's just mine. That's $60 per person more. I see renewals being right in that 75, just because that's roughly what Minnesota is, and they kind of judge by the local areas of what their training and stuff is.
Did you grow up in a hunting family? Did you have deer hunting and?
I did.
All that stuff?
Yep, we had off from the Friday before Thanksgiving was like a national holiday, and then not the Friday after Thanksgiving like it is now for shopping. It was the Friday before, so you could drive Dad home because he was probably drunk, and then go hang out with your cousins. But yeah, we hunted, but we hunted to eat. We didn't trophy hunt. We owned, my mom and stepdad owned a farm plus the bar. My dad worked on the road. He lived in town. He'd come home. I'd hunt with both families. But we also may or may not have hunted in October and December because when you had multiple kids to feed, and back in the 80s when farm rates and interest rates were 20% for your house, you had to get meat somewhere. So the whole horn thing, if it was a 6-pointer, that was a huge buck.
Right.
We didn't really hunt for horns. We hunted for meat, big does, bucks of any kind, swamp bucks. We hunted for hours at a time before you'd see another human. So, but yeah, it was mainly, I didn't bow hunt. My stepdad didn't believe that on the property just because too many people would just stick them and let them not trail them. So yeah, we hunted. Now when I got older, went in the Navy, and my life the way after that, lost a few friends up there in the whole shooting thing then. So I haven't hunted a whole lot since I've been down the Eau Claire area.
When you grow up around firearms, and I didn't But and maybe I don't want to say I'm the exception to the rule. I am, if you ask my wife on a few other different things. But she's upstairs and can't come and comment. But it seems like there's a line that kind of grow up around guns, and it's not something that you are, I want to say, innately put in fear of when you're younger. I was a city, I was half city kid. My mom lived in the city. My dad lived out, a little bit further out, so there was a little bit different of a mentality. We had cable at one house, we didn't at the other. Ooh. I know it was wild. So you get exposed to things on TV, and I think their perception was, oh, guns are bad.
Right.
But then having that country living, even though my dad wasn't a hunter, plenty of people around him were. So there was plenty of exposure to, okay, I have seen deer hanging from, hanging in garages, and I've seen them, field dressed and all this other things. The gun factor of it seems like if you've never been around it, there's a feeling that you can, for some reason, take a stand against it. Like you've never seen it in a hunting scenario. You've never seen it in a police scenario. A lot of the most outspoken against guns, and I'll get into, are they coming to take them? But the ones that are outspoken against it. And I think there is, if you're not exposed to it, if you don't see it, if it's not not a big deal to you, like we were at, I was just mentioning the Wisconsin Sports Show the other weekend. Yep. And a gentleman came in, and they hadn't posted if it was, no concealed carry here. So therefore they were allowed in, and they went. I guess to me it wasn't like, oh my gosh, there's a guy with a gun on his hip. It didn't affect me much because I understand the laws and stuff. The fact that he was wearing a giant Confederate flag hoodie threw me off a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. But it just seems like there's a lot of people that are not fully educated on weaponry and on guns and on the reason that people want to have them, that are the ones that are speaking out against it. Do you agree with that?
That is. Most of it's online, not so much around here. But yeah, it's the people that don't know about what I say. They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
I could say I'm against whatever because I don't know it. I wasn't raised like that. Mm-hmm. Learn about it, get to know it. If you don't like it, then keep your mouth shut. Just because you don't like it don't mean somebody else don't have to like it.
Right.
That's kind of how we grew up. Because if you didn't, Mom would smoke you.
Memories.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's that's the biggest stance, and that's what makes most of the people, the gun people, so upset. Mm-hmm. Is because they're on CNN, they're on MSNBC, they're on these programs, and they're sitting there describing stuff, and they're so far off, it's not even close. Right. They're calling the gun the wrong thing. You got these professionals or experts that are saying that, it does this, it does that. And we're sitting there shaking our head going, no, it's not how any of this works. You don't have to pay us $10,000 to be on here. You just got to call us and ask us. And that's one good thing that the local stations do. Mm-hmm. I got to give them credit. The local TV stations here in the Valley usually contact us, and we're pretty good about it. And I have a meeting with the young ladies that usually come out to videotape. And I always tell them, don't cut anything in, don't stack my words, please.
Yeah.
And I leave.
Don't take it out of context.
Yeah. And they're like, nope, we won't. And I always watch the videos and stuff when they come on TV, and we always get good positive reviews. But for the most part, 99% of that stuff is pretty good. We had one instance last year or 2 years ago now, and they left us alone on it. They called for comment, and I just no comment. Mm-hmm. And that was fine. They left it at that. But anything that happens in the national media, usually they'll try to get a feedback from us. Mm-hmm. And we try to turn it into, at least knowledge.
Right.
And they're great about it.
Yeah. I think educating people is really the key.
It is.
Because I'll ask you this question, right off the bat, is the social media world that we live in. And really anybody from anywhere in any country and can comment on a post you put up or can send you a message. Do you get a lot of harassment on social media? I mean, is there people that, just be, and not just like a personal attack on you necessarily, but because of the industry that you're in, because of what you are providing, is there people that just blatantly, go on to a Facebook search or go on to find you and just because of where you, what you're doing that will attack you?
Once in a while, we'll have some stuff pop up, and we're pretty good on it. We have 2 pages now. And we're fast on responding to all the questions and comments. Mm-hmm. We had one. I do live feeds every Friday morning on one of the pages, and I try to do one on the weekends on the other. But we had one guy, they call it a troll, I guess, mm-hmm. and they started popping up after a school incident, stating that we were teaching people how to be school shooters, and it threw me for a loop.
Right.
I mean, I'm sitting there watching stuff because I try to respond to the few that come through. Hey, Dan, good morning. How's it going? Yada yada. And my mind goes 100 different miles. But when it saw that, and it just locked me up. And I mean, it was bad enough where once we were done, my mom called me and was like, "What the hell was that?
Right.
What was that guy all about?" Well, before she called me, I called a couple guys that can backdoor, I guess, some stuff on Facebook, and
They know a guy who knows the guy.
yeah, something like that. So
Hey, I'm cool with that. I may need their number later.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
So that was, I was like, hey, check this dude out and see where he's at and see what's up. And he was out of the Dallas Fort Worth area is what they could figure out, and that was the last time we saw or heard of him through our page. But some of the stuff that we see, we get, people can like our page because we're not a friend page. You don't have to request, so it's just a like. But we try to do some, if they start commenting a lot, we'll get on there, myself or Joe or Stickman or whatever. They'll get on there and start checking out their back profile, make sure it's a legit profile. Otherwise, we just shut it down.
Right.
At least that one. So, but yeah, every now and then, but not too much. I mean, we're actually ready. We've talked about when we built. What happens if somebody protests on the end of the parking lot?
Right.
It's legal. They can do that. I'm like, well, I'd look at it as advertisement.
I mean, throw them a sticker. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. Usually the coinciding conversation when you do talk about guns and you talk about conceal and carry, you're talking about gun ownership, is the issue of background checks and the issue of mental health. And we'll get into the mental health aspect of it because I think there is a lot more to be said about that I think is being maybe spoken about in the national media. I think the gun owner, the person with the gun, gets talked about a lot.
Right.
Mental stability maybe doesn't get it's briefly mentioned. I think sometimes it gets swept under the rug. So I want to talk to you about that in a minute. But background checks. What is the current law of background checks if someone wants to come in and purchase a gun in the state of Wisconsin?
So today, before I got here, we sold several guns. You can come in. If you're going to buy a handgun, you have to fill out two forms of paperwork. One is a carbon copy. It's for the state. I have to hold that for 20 years, plus the federal copy I have to hold for another 20 years. If we ever shut down in that time, I have to send them into them. So you'd come in, I look at your driver's license, have to have some form of ID, state ID. Handguns can only be sold to residents of that state, and that's across the nation. Minnesota residents come in, they can buy the gun, but I have to ship it to another FFL, which is a federal firearms license dealer in Minnesota, where they do their paperwork over there, and then they take possession of it there. So we get the handgun form done, we get the long gun form done, or the feds form done. We call the state of Wisconsin, read off your driver's license number along with some other numbers that they give us, and then they do a background check. If you have parking tickets, speeding tickets, disorderly conduct tickets, whatever, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at everything in your history.
Right.
If you're a female and you have multiple names because of married, divorce, that type of thing, they're going to look at all that. So sometimes it can be what we call instantaneously. They look at it, you're pretty clean, nothing out there.
Right.
Boom, you're good. You can walk home with a gun in 15, 20 minutes. They did back in the day, I say this about 3 years ago, they got away from the 3-day waiting period because studies found that the person that is going to do harm isn't going to go in and buy a gun legally.
Right.
And then wait 3 days. And the cool-off period is what they called it. Didn't really do anything pro or con for it. If you want to buy a long gun, a shotgun, a rifle, that type of thing, a carbine, you would have to come in, just do the long gun form, give us your social security number. You don't have to, but it does help to pass it. And then we call in the feds along with your driver's license number. We give them that. It's actually the federal government. It's the FBI.
Right.
They do what's called a NICS check, and they do a background check on you, and then they approve it or deny it. And then they'll put you on wait. And usually about 2 out of 5 people go on wait just because there's another name of, Dan Marcon in the country.
Right.
So they got to check out both of us now. It ain't as easy as everybody says just walking in and buying a gun.
Right.
By no means.
I think that's one of the things that gets lost, and no matter what news network you watch, you get the feeling when you watch a news story about it, and usually always happens after there is a major tragedy. Right. They always go in, like, and you've said it yourself, they contact you when something happens, but they talk about the background check thing, and from the sounds of things, it's as thorough as you can get. That's on looking into your criminal background if you have one, and if something pops up that's like,
right,
we need to probably take either a second look at this or just flat out deny you, the right to carry this. But I think there's the other side of that is if you are going in to purchase a firearm, chances are you have a criminal record, or unless you drank too much the night before and you're like, oh, I forgot that happened. That was not me. So it feels like the background check is a pretty thorough thing, and the tough part, I think, because this is something that I dealt with on a personal level, not me personal, but somebody very close to me, probably had some drinking tickets somewhat in his day. But somebody, a cousin of mine who was an amazing man, genuine dude, grew up with him. We lived in Menominee they lived in Menominee their whole lives. I lived there for 7 years out of my life. I moved a lot as a child. We knew, like, for most of his life that there was always a screw that was a little bit ajar. We accepted him for that. He went on to, he worked at a local TV station. He was doing great things, was in a relationship, was able to, with a fairly clean background, because it's that simple.
Yep.
Went in one afternoon to a local big name. I air quoted that. This is a podcast. Nobody can see that.
Right.
I air quoted, went in one afternoon and was able to purchase a handgun. Obviously they did the same thing. They went and did a background check and found out, well, this is steadily employed and has never really had much incident in his past criminally. 2 days later, in a hotel room, he shot himself in the head.
Yep. Now,
obviously, that was a very hard thing for me to deal with, just because of the laws. There was a certain part of me that I don't want to say. I hate saying I knew that it was going to happen. Right. I hate saying that I saw it from, I don't want to say teen years, but maybe into the 20s. Understood that there had been some times where we're like, dude, let's talk, or you should maybe talk to somebody who's more educated than me, who has a North High School diploma. That's not worth much. So I think, when we talk about the people that are doing these kind of things, and suicide is one, kind of off-topic reason, or one off-topic shoot of this. When we talk about people who will go and do Vegas, or will go and do Parkland, or will go and do Sandy Hook, all those other things, these people are clearly mentally unstable. And I don't think anybody on either side of whatever political view or gun view you have, nobody wants this shit to happen. I mean, there's the stuff that happened in New Zealand, nobody wants this stuff to happen. There is probably not, and I'll ask you because you're closer to the forefront of this, and you're one of the lines of defense against this. There is probably not a way. You can't call a physician. You don't call the background check is going with what they've done criminally. It doesn't go with, well, they've been in suicide watch, or they were in this, they were keeping an eye on him for this reason. Is there a thought? Is there any way that mental health checks can also be run when somebody's trying to purchase a firearm legally? Because legally is the toughest part.
Legally there isn't, because it's HEPA.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows about HEPA. I mean, your wife goes to the doctor today, you can't call tomorrow to get tests for her because she's right there in the vehicle with you on the speakerphone. Mm-hmm. It ain't going to happen. Now they try to do some stuff with the VA because our files are open to pretty much anybody. And they say because the government already has them, if we're suffering from PTSD, that we can't have firearms. Well, that's kind of ironic that you sent us into the harm's way, and then we have PTSD for whatever reason. That doesn't mean we're going to go kill people. Yeah. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. But is it, veteran suicide is more than normal. Is it good or bad? Either way, they're what's the word, like resilient men and women. They're going to find they're going to find a way either way, mm-hmm. whether it's that way or jump off a bridge or whatever. The suicide thing. When I opened a range, I did a lot of study. I didn't just have a ton of money and be like, hey, I'm going to open a range one day.
Right.
It's either that or a bar.
So one of the two.
Yeah. So when I did the ranging, I traveled around the country. I went to Vegas. I talked to what they call SHOT Show. I went into SHOT Show, did SHOT Show universities, went to other ranges, went to Action Targets universities, really did my homework on it for years. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, when I opened, it wasn't if someone was going to kill themselves at my place. It was when.
Right.
We made it just about 2 years. And for my personal experience, I was in the prison system as the good guy, by the way. So I was a sergeant.
He was on the other side of the glass and the bars.
I could go home nightly. So, I'd see guys hanging. I'd see guys cut themselves, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But when the guy came in and talked to me normal, we just like a conversation like we're having now about his cabin and kids and stuff like that. and he rented a firearm because you can try before you buy at our place, and went out on the range and shot 34 rounds, and the 35th one he ate it.
Right.
And I was watching him do it. So I mean, he literally just put his head down like he was going to pray and shoved the gun right to the back of his head and pulled the trigger. So that, at the time you're sitting there and afterwards, and you're sitting there after all the police are there and stuff, and you're wondering, is this worth it?
Right.
Yeah, I found out things later that there was no way I could have known that.
Mm-hmm.
His history and stuff and things like that. So, and I didn't question, man, I wish I'd have known more, because what I did something different. Your day runs so fast that you can't. I mean, should somebody be driving that has their 8th OWI?
Right.
They take the license away, but they can still drive.
That doesn't stop anybody from driving.
They don't cut their feet, their hands off, not in this country. So, yeah.
Let me just write that down. Actually, if I'm going to run for office ever, I'm going to put that on the list.
Oh, we got a whole bunch of things for the list. So those are different things that, they say it's a good idea if they just get out of a institution, if you would, a psychiatric institution.
Right.
Then yes, that should be on court record, and court records are accessed, that type of stuff, through this. If they're deemed mentally unstable by court, they will not get a firearm.
Right.
So until then, it's, hands are tied. But I think there's a lot more people doing different things than, as sad as it is and as much publicized as it is, the mass shootings, they happen,
mm-hmm.
but it's because they're so publicized.
Right.
People want their name in the thing. The guy in New Zealand, his manifesto was basically so we could have more gun control in the U.S. That was part of it, so that we've seen so far. But how many times have trucks been used as bombs, have airplanes, and no one stops all that.
Right.
So in my world, we're the evil guys, but we're also the good guys. We're the guys you come to when something happens and you need something stopped or answers answered. They come to us. So,
do you think that there is I don't want to say a way, because there never will be a way to. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I think we opened something about technology and how fast the iPhone is like a decade old. I think it's 10 years old, and even before that, when we were using crazy things like flip phones, and before that, when we were using things like rotary phones. Kids, actually, I shouldn't say that. My kid saw a rotary phone at my in-laws' house one day and looked at it like a monkey doing a math problem. Like, what in the fuck is that thing? Like, I'm like, well, when we used to have to make phone calls, but technology, the way technology just jumps and where we are now is, the technology is there to actually be 5 years ahead of where we are now. So there will be, I think, a point, as creepy as it sounds, when you're going to be living in a world where semi-trucks are not driven by semi-drivers,
right.
where cars are not driven by human beings, where to think that there's not a chip out there that's going to go into your brain and we can read your thoughts, or you're going to have my dog, I can find him wherever he goes because he's got a chip in the back of his neck. But, when you talk about mental health, it doesn't matter, because the people that are going to go and find guns
right.
are probably not coming to you, who's doing it the right way, who's doing it legally, who's making the phone call down to the state, who's doing the paperwork. They'll find a way to get them. Is there a way? The focus seems to be a lot on guys like you, but there seems to be less attention being paid to, if I wanted a gun and I didn't want to go to Marc-On and get it, or I didn't want to go somewhere, and legally obtain one, I could probably, how long do you think? 10 minutes, 15 minutes online, I could probably find somebody who's like, yeah, I'm sure, I'll get you whatever you need.
Yep.
Should there be more attention being paid to that kind of trade, that kind of sale?
There is. I mean, Facebook shut down all the gun sites.
Right.
I mean, we got shut down last year. We didn't even post anything. It was just a weird thing that happened, which we won't get into. I'm not sure why, but they shut down all that stuff. Google and Facebook are together, obviously, and then you get into Instagram, and then you get into this, and you get into that, and everybody's owned by the big thing. And I just saw something the other day as far as the CIA and Facebook, are on one thing.
They're in cahoots,
basically.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now Alexa's, that's still a whole other thing, but cell phones but yeah, it's. That's all available. Can they stop it? Drugs are illegal. I mean,
and I know I can find those.
Right. So, and they're not just illegal. They're goddamn illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, heroin, methamphetamines. I mean, people are losing
fentanyl, all this stuff. Yeah.
People are losing their life over this stuff daily. It's wrecking homes. Kids are, that's the saddest part of it. And but people are still doing it, and they're still finding it more and more and more and more. So people are like, well, we're going to take the guns away. Well, the people that tell people they have guns are the hunters and the dads and the moms that use them for protection and stuff. Those are the people you're hurting. It's that rabbit hole we try not to get into, but if you make the crime fit the time, basically, I mean, being in the prison system for 13 plus years, those guys got better medication and benefits than I did as a veteran, and still to this day do. I mean, they get vitamins that make them stronger, faster, more cognitive as far as that, plus they get schooling and all that stuff. When we get out of the service, it's like, hey, good luck, let us know.
Go Team USA, wave the flag. Yep.
We'll set you up with an appointment in 3 months, and maybe get you in and figure out what's going on. So it's a big deal. I mean, guns are just an item, but those that, so is drugs. And to me, your situations, with your cousin, I've seen family members in the drug industry, the same thing, and it's like I'm more mad at that than I am at the gun thing. So
we're going to talk about New Zealand a little bit, because they just passed, they will be passing their ban on AR-15s after the mosque shootings from last week. I've thought about it, not much, but trying to conceptualize it in knowing that conversation has been brought up here in the States. It started with, I think, it started before Vegas, but that was like the one I think really brought it to people's attention. And I thought about it after Vegas, and then now knowing that New Zealand is going into a full-on AR-15 ban, that's not going to stop anything.
Right.
I understand, there will no longer, if you were carrying AR-15s and I wanted to come in and buy one, now I can't if I lived in New Zealand, because you're no longer allowed to sell them. Okay, you are a reputable, licensed gun dealer following the law because you like to keep your business open and not, be doing shady shit on the side.
Right.
But if somebody in New Zealand, or somebody in Australia, or somebody in China, or somebody in Ireland, my home country, miss you all, or somebody in Chippewa Falls, somehow, some way wants to get their hands on an AR-15, a ban on it, and this goes back to, I think, the drug thing too. If you want fentanyl, if you want meth, if you want heroin or coke, I won't get into pot because we're all going to be high as fuck here in a couple of years, and it's going to be great. But if you want something bad enough, if your mind has told you, here's what I need to complete whatever your mind is telling you you're going to complete, nothing will stop you from finding that thing.
Right.
Because those people know in New Zealand or in Vegas or in Colorado, wherever they are not going to the legal places to go and get their business done. They're finding ways, and there are ways, whether it's, the black web, or it's, the know a guy who knows the guy thing, or, hey, if you want to, hey, I'm just going to use this for this, or it'd really be cool to go and do, they're going to find it. Do bans on things, and maybe you've already answered this with the drug question, do you think the ban in New Zealand is going to stop any future incidents with AR-15s in that country?
I don't think so. And it's only the one time that it was ever happened was just last week.
Right.
As devastating as it was a very sad situation. He started out with a shotgun.
Yeah.
The time that it took him, 30-some minutes, I think the total thing was, he could have did the same thing with a single shot practically.
Right.
Or a lever action. The black gun scenario that everybody talks about, the military style gun, the AR-15, the M16, whatever you would, the M4, is just that. I mean, you can do the same thing with a 22, with a 30-06, with a, whatever. And people say, well, we don't really need military style weapons. Again, 1776, the guns that we hunted with were the military weapons. In 1903, the 303 British, those are all military style weapons that came into civilian world that ended up being our models for our deer hunting guns we have today.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's, nobody needs a car that, this is my bitch, basically. Nobody needs a car that does 150 miles an hour. However, if you have the money, you can buy one. Nobody needs a car that does 100 miles an hour. Every one of our vehicles do 100 miles an hour because there ain't a highway in this country you can legally do that. But if you hit a tree, you will die. 75, 80 miles an hour is the highest speed limit across the country.
Right.
But they all do faster than that. So if I want a gun that shoots faster rounds, so be it. That's my deal. If I have it And I was at that mosque, and I had my handgun, and I was concealed carrying, and he started lighting up. I probably wouldn't be bowing down in the corner trying to protect people, because that's not protecting. I'm trying to shield. You engage. It's some people do it, some people don't. That's how we're trained. That's how we train each other. So it's not going to do anything as far as stopping those shootings. So if he didn't have it, he would have just did a bomb or did some type of mustard gas that you can make on YouTube very easily. And that takes a lot more people out than that does. So if there would have been 200 people in that mosque and he killed 40 of them, which is a tragic thing, he would have killed 200 of them with some type of gas. It's just the way it goes.
Personal opinion. I mean, I don't give a fuck what anybody owns. Arm yourself to the teeth. We talked 1776 a couple times now. I think there is a lot of, and maybe it's the day and age, maybe it's too many documentaries on Netflix, but I do think that as a citizen of the United States of America, you should have protection not only for your home, but if the government happens to run amok, whether it is or it isn't in its current state, or whether it's headed that direction, but if we become a policed state and we become, the citizens should have and do have, according to the Constitution, a right to rise up against their government should it get to a certain level of fucked upness. Let's talk about that. So if you want to have an AR-15, that doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. You can have one. I think my wife's getting a really cute pink gun. So, I'm sure we'll be safe. I'm actually going to Dan's house when the shit hits the fan. That's where I'm going. Is there a line between what, and it's great that you have military service. And again, I thank you so much for serving the country. Should there be a line of what civilians can own, what veterans can own, and what, the military has itself? Like, it's cool, you can go in and get an AR-15, you can get an M16, you can get, all this weaponry that you can get legally. If I have the resources, if I have the funding, if this podcast takes off and gets 200 million listens, all of a sudden the cash is flowing in and I'm just bathing in it, the first thing I buy is not going to be a tank. If I could buy a helicopter, and then I could buy some artillery to put on that helicopter, should there be a line, in your opinion? You know what? Yes, you can own this. Yes, you can own that. Okay, that's a little bit much. That, you shouldn't have a tank in the garage.
A tank, I know guys that have tanks.
Okay.
And they're pretty goddamn cool. So
let's go meet that guy, because let's go hang out with him for a weekend.
That's a guy I know, so I'll bring you up there this summer.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
He has a half track. But, as far as like a rocket launcher, do you need a rocket launcher? No. Would it be cool to have one? Hell yeah. I'd love to have a rocket launcher. But it goes back to people with, let's go the full autos. Okay, same thing. So the government has full auto machine guns. That's when you pull the trigger one time and it just keeps going.
Yep.
Nobody has ever used a full auto in any massacre or shooting that has been out yet, at least civilian-wise. Uganda and those things, of course, but that's military crazy stuff over there. So the Las Vegas shooter, he had a bump stock, supposedly. And supposedly there's only one shooter, by the way. Listening to some of that stuff and being into the field that we're in, that guy was a genius. I know guys that are god dang great shooters, and they couldn't even do that shooting that fast with reloads. So you can't go ahead and just walk into a store and buy a machine gun. You can't. If you try to buy a machine gun right now, you'd have to come see me. The paperwork is exorbitant. It takes to buy one, it has to be manufactured before 1986 and licensed with the federal government. Every full auto machine gun before 1986 that was out there gave a amnesty program. They would send on their serial numbers, and then they know exactly where every one of them are, whether they're destroyed or in private collection. If they're not on the numbers, then it's illegal, and you're doing about 10 years in federal prison. So I can go ahead online right now, and because I'm a Class 3 dealer, and buy a full auto machine gun for you, and it costs starting $12,000, maybe, right around 12 is light. Usually they're running $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. So it ain't like any crackhead's gonna go buy a machine gun, or somebody that's not all there. And then you gotta get it in the shop. So we get it in our shop after we send the seller all of our information. They come in and we call you up, we do fingerprints, photographs, we send information into the ATF. They turn around and do a background check on you that is going to tell you if you have polyps or not in your lower intestines.
So it's thorough.
It's thorough.
Wow.
So after about a year, they're going to come back and say, yep, Coop can have it. So we're going to give it to you, and then they can come check it at any time. They'll send you letters and say, hey, you still have that firearm? And you have to take pictures of it and send it in to them. And yes, you will. At that time, then if you want to sell it, it has to go through all that process again. So not anyone can do that. They also do that with silencers. Now, silencers are a great tool for hearing protection. Right. So we're all for silencers. However, they don't do anything that makes the gun more dangerous or less dangerous. It's less than what a scope does for a deer rifle.
Right.
A scope, a naked eye can shoot 100 yards. A scope can make you shoot 300, 400, 500 yards. We all know this. We all deer hunt. So that's what an optic does. But a silencer doesn't do anything except quiet it down. No matter what kind of mob movies you watch, no one's going to get shot in the back of the head with a 22 anymore, at least in our world.
Damn it. There goes,
I mean, not saying it
my
don't.
childhood.
Yeah, not saying it don't happen. But, a silencer is basically just a can that makes it muffled down. And we sell them at the shop, and we probably sell 30, 35 a year.
Was it California? Did California ban silencers?
I believe California banned silencers. Yeah.
So that makes no fucking sense to me, at all.
None at all.
So now, regardless if you have obviously you have to attach a silencer to something.
Right.
It doesn't really make that's
nothing at all. But you can get a triple cheeseburger and make your ass fat and die of heart disease.
Oh, well.
In California.
Potato.
Right.
Or a double potato with cheese and some sour cream.
Bacon.
Yeah. Oh, man, don't talk about bacon. Don't get me started.
So that's the kind of thing that we fight every day, or answer questions. Not so much fight, but people come in and they don't know what they don't know. So we had to explain it all to them, and they're like, I can get a silencer. And it's like, heck yeah, you can get a silencer. And we help them out. I mean, we have teachers, we have doctors, lawyers, business people, house moms that want silencers just because they can go out in the back 40 or the back field and shoot a 22 with their kid and not having to worry about, if their ears fall off, them losing their hearing.
Right.
So it's a great little tool. They're fun to shoot. It takes recoil away besides. So and it looks badass.
It does.
So
I'm a Boondock Saints fan.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen it on my fingers. I have the doorstop there. That was a great segue, as we call this in podcasting, I think. I think that maybe there's a lot of preconceived notions about people that go to gun ranges, that go and want to shoot and that go and want to purchase a gun. The vibe I'm getting, and after researching, the page and watching your Friday stuff, this isn't just dudes that want to go out and blow shit up, not to categorize them in one, bubble, but it's not just dudes that want to blow shit up that are coming out to shoot. I mean, it's kind of all walks of life, probably all political views, all ages, it's all demographics that are coming out to do this kind of stuff.
It is. It's crazy. When I grew up, we had little gun shops, and there's still little gun shops floating around. It's hard to make it. They've been in business for 100 years. Mm-hmm. I'd go in there, and guys would be smoking, and they'd be cussing and telling dirty jokes and probably drinking a beer and this and that. They weren't carrying a gun. They had a shotgun behind the counter, and they'd shoot anyone that came in and disagreed with them. It was their political views, and that was it. As I grew up and came to Eau Claire, there was still a few of those shops kind of, talking about political stuff. And obviously, if you're in the gun world, you're on the Second Amendment, and whoever is voting for the Second Amendment is their friend. When I started doing my bodyguard work and stuff, I traveled around the country, and I came home, and my wife, my girlfriend, our friends, we'd go into gun shops or big box stores, and I'd see how the salespeople would come up to me and talk to me about guns, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm looking for a gun for my wife. And they'd be like, oh, and then they'd turn around to me and like, she'd probably like this. And I'm like, okay.
She's right there.
Yeah, she's right here.
She hates when you ignore her, by the way.
She's kind of hot. So she's looking at how she's going to take her throat out right now. And he's like, well, you should get her a nice little 380, or a nice little this or a cute little that. It's like, is a cute little thing going to shoot somebody in the fucking chest?
Right.
If they break into our house? And they're like, well, why would you want to do that? Well, I'm not buying this to give you the bonus, or
there's purpose behind this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that differentiates us from everybody else. All of our guys, I told them when I hire them, I'm like, look, I go, if a husband and wife come in the thing, and some guys don't like this, and I've had a couple guys talk to me about it, and they say, yeah, I'd like to buy my old lady a gun. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
One of these guys. I'm like, okay, ma'am, so what were you thinking of? And then he answers it as I'm looking at her. Well, she's probably going to get like a 380. Again, I'll thank you. Look at her. So have you shot a 380 before? No, she hasn't. I'm seriously going to take you in the nuts.
Like right now, it's going to happen.
I'm like, sir, she's going to carry it. I'm going to talk to her if you don't mind. And he's like, well, I'm buying it. Great. You can leave your credit card here and just go hang out or go in and shoot or whatever. But if she, and you can tell first off, the old lady thing drives me nuts. It just,
we wouldn't be here today if I had ever and would ever call my wife my old lady. I would not be here. It would be the ghost of Cooper.
Exactly. Yeah. So the thing with my guys, I say my team is Kristen, Laura, and all of our ladies, Tara, that work there as well. If they ever show disrespect to our clients, our customers, our friends that come in, and they start telling them what they want, then it's time for them to find a different profession or a different job. We talk to them. We want to know how you're going to carry it, where you're going to carry it. What have you shot before? What are you thinking? Is it just going to be for home defense? It could be as simple as a 22. And people are like, well, 22s don't kill people. I'm like, oh, no, you're a goddamn bullet expert. I'm like, have you ever been shot in the foot with a 22?
Did you watch a lot of CSI?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, no. I'm like, if your wife can put 10 rounds in the chest cavity of somebody breaking into their house, it's probably going to stop the threat. And they're probably going to die after a while. And they're like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But, they wanted her to shoot a 45 or 9mm or something like that. So we want, and probably about 60% of our clients are new shooters. Mm-hmm. Probably about 40% of them are women. Like tonight we have a TWAW meeting. It's the third Thursday of every month. We host the Chippewa Valley's women's group, gun owners group at our shop. And it's great. I mean, we have professionals. We have some teachers, some principals, house moms, soccer moms, doctors, attorneys, you name it, they're there. And there's an average of anywhere between 20 and 35 women that come each Thursday that we have it, and it's great. We really enjoy watching them come in and watching them grow, and then usually they'll bring their kids in or their grandkids or their nieces or nephews, and we assist them with getting into the shooting sports and trying to hook them into an organization locally in the valley somewhere that they can do it safely without having to put a lot of money into it.
Have you seen the numbers that come through your doors and maybe your eye on the national scene in the gun world? Have the numbers gone up of people that are coming in and wanting to learn and wanting to purchase and wanting to conceal carry? Are those numbers on the increase?
Oh, yeah. They're definitely on the increase. We're seeing more, your right or left, and I'm not sure if that's what right and left is as far as the political parties really.
We talked about that too. It's right now everybody I think gets to pick and choose what, I like this about this and this about this. Yeah.
Exactly. So we see them come in and they're like, look, I voted for so-and-so. I'm like, I don't care who you voted for.
Right.
What are you here for? And they're like, well, the world's getting crazy now. I mean, everyone's doing this and people are eating bath salts and eating other people and stuff, in Florida. So I'm like,
fucking bath salts, man.
I'm like,
fucking Florida, dude. Right. Seriously, man. What the fuck is going on down
I'm
there?
like, we're in Wisconsin, but I'll give you that.
But somebody on bath salts could run up here in about 3.5 hours, seemingly.
Right. So, and they come in and, it could be the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad or, the single mom or dad. And they're like, it's just the neighborhood's going to crap, I mean, there's drugs over here, there's this over there. I just need something to protect myself, and not knowing my neighbor that's been living next to me for a year. And I'm like, well, why don't you? Well, I don't, they look scary. They must have tattoos, right?
They probably do. It's probably Cooper. It's probably my fucking neighbors that are out there.
I saw your neighbor. I was watching him earlier.
He knows me. It's all good.
Good.
There's a lot to be said about respecting your own protection. And I think protecting a family, protecting your household. I think the majority of people who are going out purchasing weapons and learning, and I think that's the key thing is, and you stated it, learn how to use the motherfucker before you're just like, well, I got one and it just sits there. Like if you put in a situation where you need to use it, if somebody is breaking into your house or your crazy neighbor that lives right back there happens to be on a binge one night, you want to know exactly what you're doing. So it's good to see that the numbers are going up, because that means that people are not only learning about what they're doing, but are also taking care of not only themselves, their families, their neighborhood, because it takes one. That's all it takes.
And that's what our big thing is. Okay, we don't care where you buy the gun. We're actually partnering up right now with a couple big box stores and giving them flyers that give their people that buy handguns 5% off at a training facility at our place. So it doesn't say anything about us selling guns. You can buy wherever you want. We don't care about that. We might bust your chops when you come in a little bit, but that's
like, hey, I could have. Yeah. I know a guy.
But you can buy guns other places. We understand that. But the best training that we've been told is by far. People tell us that we're good at it. We know what we know because we go out and get other training from other places around the country, and we might take we might pay $1,000 for a weekend class and take one piece of that knowledge and bring it back and put it to use for people here. And that's how I've done it the whole time. So, we hire smart people that have been there, done that, and we rebuild our training system all the time. So when people buy a firearm, the first thing you can do is get trained.
Right.
Don't wait 2-3 months because you're excited about it. Come in and shoot it. Take a private. We have privates. We have classes. We have probably 5 classes every week, 7 days a week. It's crazy. They can't, whether it's one person or 15 people, we do it. It doesn't have to be a concealed carry class. And a lot of people that'll buy a gun somewhere, they'll be like, okay, I need a concealed carry license. I'm like, you know how to load it? And they're like, no, don't you go over that? Not really. We do, but it's just a quick, it'd be like you having me run your soundboard. You could show me now, I'd learn it right now, but tomorrow I wouldn't know what the hell I was doing.
Here's the on button.
Exactly. So we want them to come in and practice and get on what we call get on the hook a little bit and put rounds down range, because if, God forbid, somebody does come in your house or somebody does try to rob you at Quick Trip or wherever it's at, and you pull your gun out and you haven't shot it much, you're just going to be a victim.
No.
You're going to get shot. Most shootings, civilian world shootings, we don't mount up and go down the street and go kick in doors like, guys overseas do. So you're sitting there, you're buying your Big Gulp, you're buying your cheeseburger, paying for your gas, and all of a sudden some crackhead comes in and starts lighting the place up. It's done and over with in under 5 seconds.
Right.
A civilian shooting is. It's just statistically done. So can you drop what you're doing, grab your firearm, hit the safety, engage competently without shooting the person behind them?
Right.
Because if you shoot that person behind them, God forbid, you're not the hero for shooting the bad guy. You're going to jail for shooting the innocent person. And that's what we try to talk to people about. We talk about real deal things like that. And usually, a young lady today, she was probably 22 and she was going to get a concealed carry gun, and we had her shoot some, and she just wanted to try some out. But I told her, I'm like, safeties, they're good for at the house, but if I'm going to come up behind you, grab your hair, throw you into a car door, and then throw you in the back of my truck, are you going to be able to grab your gun and engage it? And she's like, holy Christ, because that just made me nervous there.
Yeah.
I'm like, exactly. So these are the things that we talk about in our training scenarios.
I'll end with this. If you pay attention to the news, and we've tried to not, I think, just as a mental clarity, I think we let's watch the weather and let's make sure that I can get that on my phone.
Right.
It's right there. Well, sports scores, I can get that on my phone. What's going on in the world? I'm sure if shit happens, it'll fucking send me an update, and I'll be like, oh great, we're all fucking gonna die. But whenever the gun conversation comes up, whenever there's an incident that happens, and really at this point of where the world is at, and I shouldn't even say the world, because I think we look through it in this glass bubble that is the U.S. When something happens here, it's like, oh shit, this shit happens every day in a lot of these other countries that we are like, oh well, this sucks here, but over there, it always comes up when they talk about guns and when they talk about AR-15s, when they talk about bump stocks, when they talk about all this stuff, somebody's always out there saying, well, they're coming to get our guns, they're coming for it, like honest, hardworking Americans who are abiding by the letter of the law. They have their license. They have their conceal and carry. All the guns in their home are registered. They're all legally purchased. Do you feel a fear? Take the fucking guns away from the bad guys all day long. Cool.
Right.
Have a turn-in program because they're coming out for that. Do you feel like that Americans who are doing it on the up and up, are they coming for those people?
I think what I've seen a lot of stuff, and it's kind of again, this is a rabbit hole I'll just skirt, but there's some states out there which now calling the red flag law. They have, I don't want to call them sympathizers, but anti-gun people in judgeship areas.
Right.
And they're saying, hey, Coop's crazy. He threatened me because my dog pooped on his yard and he's got some guns. I saw that. And what a red flag law is the cops come tomorrow. The judge orders a thing and the cops roll up in your house. Take your guns. You got to prove that you're okay. So, yeah, that part's actually happening. There's some states now that are Missouri was just one of them that said there is never going to be a red flag law in our Constitution available in our state.
Right.
If there is, the cops are not going to abide by it. There's departments that are out there saying, we are not, no, this is not what we're going to do. This is not who we are. But some of those states that are heavy, you know, you can only have so many rounds in your magazine. You can't have this color gun. You can't have that. You know, they're trying to push this stuff. And that's, you know, like you said, with the technology, this is kind of where it's going. You know, at our age, are we going to see it? We could see parts of it, and we're seeing it now. Is it going to happen in Wisconsin? I'd like to think not, but I mean, the one in charge is the one that makes the decisions. Would it fly? No. I mean, up here, no. But in some of the states, you know, Connecticut, it's already flying out there. Maryland, conservative, you know, that type of stuff. It's kind of scary. I mean, we see guys all the time at these big gun conventions that we go to, or the, you know, the stuff that I deal in, and yeah, they're like, this is crazy shit.
Yeah.
So, but don't worry about, you know, for me, it's like the drug thing's a bigger thing.
As well it should be.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes those two, the two, you know, the two conversations intertwine themselves, just with the nature of the drug business and south of the border issues and anything coming up through there. And when there's money involved, there's going to be protection involved. When there's protection involved, there's going to be guns involved. I get that, but you'd hope, and I hope, as a current non-gun owning, meat eating, bacon eating fucking American, I hope it doesn't come down to the government telling me what I can and cannot do.
Right.
Because I think weaponry is a clear and obvious target for somebody to come and say, well, now you shouldn't have that, or it's you know, you can't have your, you know, blue and black camouflage gun because, you know, that could be misconstrued as you're affiliated with a gang. And you know, you don't want to tip that iceberg. And like I said, as a non-gun owner, I don't want that to tip an iceberg to say, well, now all of a sudden, if you're it gets me into like an FCC policy. Well, now, you know, if you're running your own podcast out of your basement, you know, is all this equipment legally run into the ground? Is it ground wire running over here? If people start coming into houses, and it starts with artillery, you know, it starts with guns, and it starts with, you know, the things you have, if that domino falls, now all of a sudden you can't eat bacon, or you can't have this. You're watching illegal porn. I mean, not that I would ever do that, because most of it's free and on the internet. A lot of people, I think myself, falls into that category because I don't own a gun. You want to own one? Fucking A right, dude. Own them all. Have them all. I want to go see Tank Guy. It's going to be awesome. If you want to, you know, brew your own beer in your basement, have your friends come over and do it, that's fucking fine with me. I don't need the government coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to need some money for this. Or the ATF's knocking on my door and asking, you know, where are you getting all this this hop from? Like, well, I import it from far, far away. So I think that's a very sticky subject. And if you are not a gun owner, you should be concerned about that issue, because it is a big domino that could fall. And all of a sudden, if it's
just the tip of one iceberg, and it's just going to go through until the next thing happens. You know, I mean, these home brewers, somebody dies on the road because he's drinking at his buddy's house because he's a home brewer. There you go. They're going to shut all those down in that county.
Yeah, and it doesn't even take a guy, you know, getting into an accident. It takes a guy getting sick off of somebody who doesn't know how to, you know, run their own home brewery here, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think I had something funky for dinner, and now they, you know, it's a very sticky, very slippery slope to go down. So I will wrap up with this, because I know you spent a lot of time in the corrections field. You also spent some time doing some bodyguard stuff, which is that badass? I mean,
it was.
Maybe I'm going Hollywood on it. I'm like, God, I'm just thinking of this guy like walking behind like Tupac.
That was a bad job.
That was a rough one.
I worked for a company out of Maryland, and it was cool. We were all ex-military, men and women. After a while, I ended up running, after about a year into it, I ended up running the Midwest, if you would. I was the point of contact in the Midwest. But it was what I call an 8-hour hit team. It was before 9/11 and before all the contract work overseas. But we'd get a call. At that time, pagers were the thing. And it was either you're a drug dealer, doctor, or, you know.
Let me check my beeper. Beep, 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 beep.
Beeper would go off, and we'd call landline in on a secure line, and they would tell me where I was going. So I'd drop in. Within 8 hours, I'd be boots on the ground with my team, and we'd be ready to work, whether it was consulting, teaching other Fortune 500 companies as far as security, or working surveillance or whatever. we'd be working for 3 days to, I think the longest I was out was like 3 months.
Wow.
So, and we'd run it between Canada and Mexico. So yeah, it was a badass job. I mean, it was cool. We'd sneak guns on planes. It was before obviously 9/11. We'd piece them together. I was a bald guy carrying a blow dryer and a curling iron because my Glock was taped inside of it.
You never know. I like to shine this shit up on the top here.
Yep. We always had knives on us. We always had Kydex stuff on us. But now it's a little different. Everyone's got to be full beard and tack and look cool and stuff like that. You didn't know who we were. I mean, I stood out a little bit, but the ladies, the guys that looked like average Joe, those were the guys that were some of your best operators. It was a cool job. Did that for 5-6 years, and then went into corrections. So, and that was because, like you said, you get married, things change.
They do dramatically.
Yep. So after she stayed with me through all that time, and after being gone, you kiss your wife goodbye or your girlfriend goodbye in the morning, and you plan on going to meet someplace for dinner. And then all of a sudden you give her a call when she gets off work, and you're not quite at Texas Roadhouse, but you're in goddamn New York working a job.
You're actually in Texas at a Roadhouse.
Exactly.
Sorry, I got our plans
and by the way,
here.
That wedding we're supposed to go to for your sister is not going to happen this weekend.
But I got you a stand-in. Looks very similar.
I did have a stand-in. I had a couple of buddies that were stand-ins all the time. And they went to a lot of weddings. But yeah, so then went to Department of Corrections, and that was basically for benefits.
Yep.
And to keep me kind of in the game. They have a SWAT team, and they're basically the response team, and I jumped on that right away. And then did that for 9 years. Did some pretty cool training with LA SWAT and stuff like that.
Very cool.
And Wisconsin State SWAT guys, and got out of that 3 years ago, right after I opened Marc-On.
Very cool.
So.
Dan Marcon, Marc-On Shooting, all over Facebook. They're on the web. I do want to just mention one thing that I just came across, and it's just awesome that you're doing the Tattered Flags program. Tell people about that, because that gets me right in the feels right there.
The Tattered Flags program is basically when you're, after a badass winter like we just had, a lot of people still fly their flags in the weather, which is, we don't have to go down that hole. But if it's destroyed, ripped, or something, don't just throw it away. That's Old Glory. It deserves the rightful send off, if you would. So what we do is we collect them there at the shop, just bring them in, set them on the counter. It doesn't cost anything. And what we do with them, we save them up. I belong to American Legion up in Birchwood, Wisconsin. My dad's a commander up there, and they do what's called a flag ceremony. They were doing it once a year, which is on Flag Day in June, but they've been doing it now after we've been doing this, and some other places have kind of taken part in it. They do it a few times a year. So they do a whole ceremony, 21-gun salute. They do a prayer, the whole thing. Because if you just throw it away, it's like taking somebody that served in the service that didn't come home and throwing them away.
Right.
That's how we feel about it. So, drop them off at the shop. You don't have to stay long. You just drop them off and no questions asked. Hey, that's where it's at. We also do have new flags for sale. We sell them for Freedom Flag, local guy.
Yep.
You can pick up a new one there, and they're made in the USA too. So
very cool stuff. Dan, thank you so much for the time, man.
Thanks a lot, Coop, man.
Thanks for hanging out in the cave down here.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks.
Next time we'll provide beverages, but I know you got a class to go to and shit.
Well, when you carry, you can't.
Yeah.
So next time I'll definitely
fucking legalities.
I'll call Uber and have me come over.
Awesome, man. It's the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. Dan Marcon, Marc-On Shooting. Thanks for the time today. You can find us again on all your podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Make sure when you do listen, you subscribe, and we'll be back for episode 5 next week. Thanks, people.